morning, students. This is Shihan Mitsumoshita, and I'd like to give you a little talk about the secrets of the art. Now, many people have asked me after having studied for close to 60 years, what have I discovered, some of the secrets, and they're really not secrets, they're things that we all know but we just overlooked. One of the secrets, students, if there is a secret, is balance. And of course you'll say, well, Shihan, I know all about balance, I balance all the time, and you do, but there's a difference in balance between the average day activity and fighting. There's a different mindset, there's a different way the body holds itself. Now when we talk about balance, students, we're talking about the center of gravity. And a lot of you will say, well, I know where it is. A lot of people don't know where their center of gravity is. And it's 2 fingers below your navel. That's where it is. So if you were to ask the average person, where is it? They'll say, oh, it's in the stomach someplace. No, it's basically 2 fingers below the navel. Now every object has a center of balance, students. And this is what sometimes we overlook, whether it's a book, a shoe, a banana, or this pole here. It has a center of balance. And the way we find it is, for the stick, is quite simple. Now, if this was your body and I was a Paul Bunyan, 100 feet tall, and I could freeze you like this would be your head, and this would be your feet. And if I run my hands together underneath your back to a point here, there, your balance. This is your center of balance, right where my fingers are at, here. This is where you balance perfectly, this way here, and that would relate to your belly button or 2 fingers beneath that. Now you have to understand that, students, because if you don't, you'll fall off balance. And in every sport, soccer, football, they tumble, and the reason they tumble is their center of gravity is not catching up with their body. And if you would move your center of gravity under, you would have your balance. So balance and the center is the most crucial part. And I should have learned that 40 years ago when I had dinner with the grandmaster of our style of Aikido. He told me way back then, when I asked him, what is the secret to the art, master? My students want to know. And he said, your hips. But what he was referring to is your center, because the hips surround that. He was referring to your center of gravity, your balance point. He was saying that is the most important thing. And back 40 years ago, I didn't understand. I didn't understand that. And most martial artists don't. And you understand it, but it's not important to you right now. It should be, but it's not, because you're thinking, I've got to learn how to punch. I've got to learn how to punch correctly. I've got to learn how to defend. I've got to learn how to do my throws. So your mind is preoccupied. And you're thinking, well, I don't have to think about my center of balance because it's always there. Maybe at this stage, but when you become great masters, and I hope you all do, you're going to find out that what makes your level different than the average master is that you'll understand the center. You understand that very, very well. And the people that understand that the best, students, and some of you know because you've been ballet dancers, are the dancers, the ballet dancers. They have the best sense of balance. Their center of balance is always on the foremost in their mind from day one. Because when they're learning how to dance, you go to a dance studio, you'll see these little girls and guys, they're standing on and they're holding the bar, and then they're going down. They're going down, they're coming up, they're going down, they're coming up. And of course their legs are different than this, but you're thinking, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? It's because they know in ballet, balance is the key. You have to know where your center is all the time, because in ballet, unlike other sports you can stumble. And the audience will say, he just fell off. But in ballet, you stumble once on stage in a 30 minutes performance and they'll boo you. They'll say, oh, he's terrible. Oh, did you see that he landed? But he kind of shook on the end there. They never do. Watch them. Watch the great ballet dancers. They know where their center is all the time, whether they leap up in the air, whether they dance around the floor, whether they pick up their partners, they are always balanced. They are always balanced. So balance seems to be the main feature of ballet. And I think it should be the main feature of the martial arts. We should start day one and have the students do this. Now, We have a training schedule for all of you students in which you're doing pull-ups, you're doing curls, you're doing a lot of running, which is good. I want you to continue that. But try to put more leg work into it. If you have to grab a chair and go down this way slowly and come on up. Try, it doesn't look like much, but try 30 of those or 20. And you'll feel your legs burning. You'll feel your legs burning this way here. Eventually you'll do 40, 50, 60. You won't need the support of a chair. You'll be able to go down. But what that's improving is your center of balance, because when you get tired, your center goes back and you have to kind of stumble and kind of hold yourself up this way here. But if you always focus on your center, you will always have balance, class. So if there is one secret to the martial art that I'm realizing now at this late stage, it's balance and knowing where your center is all the time. Okay. When I talked to the Grandmaster 40 years ago, and he said the secret to the martial art is in the hips, we have a drill or an exercise in our style of Aikido called the Keyhole, or the elbow power exercise. And he told me, if you want your students to get good, make them do this exercise until they hate it, and make them do it some more, because they'll develop strong hips, they'll develop strong legs, and their center of balance will get very, very strong. So this is the exercise that he recommended that I'm having you do with a chair, sitting down with a chair, so you can do it. But in our class, we do this every session, no matter what rank you are, white belt, brown belt, black belt, super black belt, it doesn't matter. You have to do this form because this is what makes you great. So I'm going to have Cindy. So Cindy will demonstrate what we call the elbow power or Keyhole exercise, and I'll show you what they do to you when you go to Japan for your first visit. Okay, so, oh, thank you. Okay, so Cindy will do the Keyhole exercise. Okay, this is called casting. Stay right there, Cindy. They'll make you do that. The instructor will come and square your hips. He'll make sure that leg is like iron, and then you'll come around and make sure this knee is bent just at the right ankle. He'll correct your hips again, and then look at your body, look at your posture. He'll look at you for 15 minutes and say, okay, back. Okay, and then you have to do it again. Good, he'll come out. He'll square your hips. Make sure your leg is solid. Make sure this knee is solid. Square. Come around. Check your posture. Form. He'll have you hold that for 15 minutes. And then come back. Okay. Now you spent half an hour on that side here, so okay, back. Let's do the other leg. So you start this way. So okay. Good. Now come out. Now correct your hips. Now make sure, sleepy. Make sure it's strong. Make sure this knee is bent. Look at your overall form. Okay, for 15 minutes. Okay, back. Okay, again. Always come out and correct you though. I can feel Cindy's legs are very strong. She's been doing this. Very strong legs, very strong hips. Good. And then walk around you. They'll look at you for 15 minutes. Okay, back. Can we do it? What was that?
Yes,
And
sir.
back. And back. Okay, so 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay, that's 1 hour. So she's done this exercise for 1 hour. She says, you try this, well, you don't know this, but if you tried it for 1 hour, your legs will be shot. You'll be thinking, oh my goodness. And then they'll say, that's the lesson for today. And you'll go home thinking, I don't like this art. I thought I was going to learn some kicking and punching, but my legs are just sore. They're making me exercise. But what they're doing is they're strengthening your core. They're making your legs very strong, like ballet dancers. And so if you stick it out, in 6 months, your legs will be like iron. They'll be very, very strong, students. So this is a drill that we do every day at our school. And you can kind of get the same effect working with a chair. So that's the exercise. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Okay, now students, remember I told you about Grandmaster Shioda, a little bit about his background. He's a little man, 5'1". I think they used to say he weighed 108 pounds, but I think he weighed about 120 pounds. So 5'1", 120, that's a very small man. When I first met him, I thought he was a little boy. And yet I kept thinking, this is the man that the people around the world recognize as the top man in the art of Yoshinkan Aikido. And it was hard to believe that somebody that small could have huge members in his studios, and they admired him, and they looked up to him, and they considered him one of the toughest men going. I didn't know how to conceive of that somebody that small could be that powerful. And then I met one of his top students, Master Noguchi. Noguchi was a judo champion. He was a big man, 5'8". He had 18-inch arms, a huge neck, a big head, very powerful legs, and a broad shoulders. He looked like a lineman on one of the professional football teams. When I had dinner with him, I was fortunate to have dinner with him. He sat across from me, and I looked at him and thought, nobody could ever beat this man. He is just too big. He's just too strong. And sure enough, I was right. I would ask some of the top people in the art of Aikido, the top masters, and I said, have you heard of Noguchi? He said, oh, yes, we've heard of him. And, is he strong? Yes, he's very strong. And so I would talk to some of the people that were like legends in the art of Aikido, who were considered the tough men in our style, and I would ask them, if you had a contest with Noguchi, how would you do? And they said, oh, not too good. I wouldn't be able to. He's too strong. He's just physically too strong. And he was a very powerful man, and that was somebody I would look at and say, yeah, I can see why he's that good. He's big. He's very, very big. And then I asked him, I said, Master Noguchi, how is it that you, with your 230 pounds, with these huge arms, big neck, a huge body, how is it that you joined the organization that Shioda was running? You know, Shioda, 5'1", 120 pounds. What was it about that little man that convinced you to join the art? And he goes, well, he convinced me that I should switch from my judo and go into that art. Well, again, I had a dinner with the master himself. And I said, Master, you know your top student, Noguchi. I asked him why he joined your organization, and Master Shioda kind of giggled and laughed and said, well, I said, what happened? How did that happen? He goes, well, he said, in the early 50s when I was trying to promote this art of Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, I had to put on demonstrations. So I went down to Yokohama where they had the docks, you know, just like in San Pedro, the big dock. They had nothing but huge longshoremen there, big guys. And he said, most of those guys studied judo under Noguchi. And he said, when I went down there and they were laying out the mats, these judo men came, you know, big guys, and they had their arms folded, and they looked at me as if, what are you going to, you're small, what are you going to teach us? You know, we'll wipe the floor with you. And he's like, kept getting those negative feelings from these big guys as I walked by them. And then so finally, I appeared on stage. And when I did, he said, I didn't have a partner with me at that time, so I knew I picked the strongest guy there. I picked Noguchi, I picked the head instructor. So I said, you come on up here and help me demonstrate. And he said, he was kind of arrogant. He walked on, you know, big guy. And he said, okay, what do you want me to do? He says, use your judo against me. And he said, when he did, he came rushing in. Oh, my God. I hit him, I grabbed him, and then I put him into this Keyhole lock, which you're going to see in a second. I put him into the Keyhole lock, and he said, instead of just going with me, he resisted. And when he did, I just dropped all my weight onto his arm. I tore his shoulder girdle, and I broke his arm. And he said, after that, he became a very nice man. And he came and said, I want to become your student. So this is the technique that Master Shioda used. So I'll have my two partners, Cindy and now Todd is the mean judo man, and Cindy is the 120 pound Shioda. And this is what they did. Todd's going to attack her, and he comes in, he grabs. Good. That's called the Shihonage. Would you like to see from another angle? Is that angle? Okay, so in other words, Todd is trying to go in for a judo grab. Cindy blocks it, punches, and it comes around. and got him to that point there. Now at that point, Todd, having an ego, didn't want to go down, and that's when Shioda just pulled his arm out of socket. That's when Shioda said, instead of being nice and going this way, I pulled his arm out this way, and then dropped all the way, tearing his shoulder out and breaking his arm. And so that was a technique that convinced Master Noguchi that he should study Aikido. So I'll have Cindy do it one more time. You're not going to learn this technique, but Cindy will demonstrate. It's called the Keyhole Nagi. Very nice. Very nice. Hey. Thank you. Very nice. So students, that is our little lecture today, demonstration on balance. And all of this is combined with the lecture on balance. So I hope it helped you. If it doesn't sink in today, as you become great martial artists, you'll see that balance, center of gravity, is a must if you want to become great in the martial arts. So thank you very much, students.